and businesses in Ghana not being given the capacity to employ. The incubator for jobs is the private sector, not government or the public sector. Expect increases in VAT, whether they are dedicating it to health, pensions, or dedicating it to free senior high school or national health insurance. We've been there before, 2.5% VAT dedicated to Get Fund. And you recall that when they implemented free senior high school, we said no, noble policy objective, but sustainability could only be achieved if they increase taxes. Now, what was their promise in the 2016 elections and in their manifesto? They said from taxation to production. Today, we are back to taxation. And that's why I say that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Vice President and Chairman of the Economic Management Team, is probably likely to suffer from an incurable credibility crisis. He said that the money was there. He's been governor of Bank of Ghana. They didn't need to increase taxes. Today, let him speak with the same tongue that they are not increasing taxes. Now, we are worried about an administration which spends a whooping $1.2 billion on a Ghana card or national ID system. And I'm challenging the president, the vice president, and all his actors to deny and share with the Ghanaian people the numbers to which they have committed over the 15-year period for the implementation of the Ghana card. And I'll give any of them a stone if it was not the case. They keep going back and forth. And that translates into $42 per person with a population of 29 million Ghanaians. You have only 7 million Ghanaians who have passport, birth certificate and passports, 2 million respectively. So we've raised legitimate legal questions even about the non-use of the voter ID card.
But Honorable, you do understand that we need some of these ones. First, there was the introduction of the Ghana Post GPS, which will enable people to be identified, to be tracked and located. And then we're going to have the overall database of the national identification system coming into place so that government's own agenda, for which even your party's government, when you were in office, had thought about to broaden the tax net, so to speak. And that's the way to go to rope everybody in.
Having a national ID system remains a national imperative. It's good for economic and development planning, combating crime, and for the banking sector. But our concern largely is the cost. And they not using the ID card, which is recognized under Article 42 of the Constitution. They must govern in accord with law. If you think that we shouldn't be raising cost issues, that's your problem. But we have a responsibility to the taxpayer and to protect the payers. How can you justify $1.2 billion for a card? How can you pay for the $2 to do a card? Just walk to the streets of Osu. Now you want to do an ID card with all its features and see whether you have to pay $40 for it.
But in the other side of the argument is that we need other sectors growing. And we've had a lot more receipts from oil because of the fixing of the FPSOs coming in and the various wells also on stream, etc. But we also know that on the international front, the prices have been increasing, even though not sharply, but marginally. At the end of the day, government would have to contend with that.
No, even an increase. The increase in global prices of petroleum benefits this government. Oil revenue under the NDC was probably in the region of 100 to 200 million Ghana. They have had to earn 508 million Ghana as a result of the increased prices. So to whom much is given, much is to be expected. They've got more coming in by way of oil revenue than was the case in 2015 and 2016. They don't have a superior debt management strategy. The best to manage debt, which they themselves acknowledge in the budget statement of 2018, has been the consolidated energy sector levy and using it to deal with the legacy debt and debt in the energy sector. I worry about the fate of Ghanaian banks that are struggling with capitalization. The president set up a committee to look into it. He should deal with it head on. It's not a matter of postponement because that is important for the financial sector and the banking sector. They hold lots of Ghanaians in employment, and we need to be able to protect indigenous Ghanaian businesses and Ghanaian banks. So I expect the president to decisively support and help indigenous banks and review as is necessary in the national interest, the strong regulation that are getting them struggle to meet minimum capital requirement, and to spread it over a period of time. They are capable, but give them some time to be able to mobilize and to respond to that. Thank you.
It's heating up in Parliament as we count down to the mid-year review being presented by the Finance Minister. We'll be going back for even more updates from Amavi and Roland shortly. But back here in the studio, Norvan and I have been turning ourselves into soothsayers, trying to figure out what exactly this new budget is, this review of the budget is going to present to the people of Ghana. Now, we've talked a lot about revenue mobilization, and as a country that depends so heavily on imports, the increase in prices has not gone unnoticed. But we also know that nobody has increased tariffs. So let's talk through the real reasons why prices have gone up and try and figure out whether government proposed revenue restructuring, let's call it that for a want of a better expression, might lead to even more price increases.
Let's take the ports for a minute. We've had people talk about the fact that now it's even more expensive, to clear goods at the port. But as you rightly indicated, clearly none of the rates at the ports has gone up. That then brings out one important thing to all of us, which is what? Which is the fact that for many years, there was a lot of under-declaration going on at the ports. A lot of funny things that were going on there. So with government quest to restructure and ensure that they get exactly what is due and people pay the right rates when it comes to clearing of their goods at the port, that is why you have these importers complaining. Because now you cannot, let me put it in this other term, dribble the system. So it's not human beings who is looking at a paper and then saying, okay, pay this for that, pay this for that, pay this for that. The system itself gives you the figures and you have to go through it and then pay what is rightly due you. And that's how come you have importers, come complain to us. Because at Joy Business, when these issues came up, we said, okay, why don't we find out what is actually going on? And so you have people bring you an old, clearing documents as against the new one. And then we said, okay, let's check with GRA and check with all the other agencies. Now you take it and they say, look, nothing has changed. This is what we've had. This is what Parliament approved for us. And we haven't done anything. And if we have to change anything, we need to go back to Parliament to do that. And if we haven't gone there, how do you say we have increased things here? It's only because now people are paying the right rates. And then government is able to rake in the needed and the exact revenues that we need to make at our ports. This is what has accounted for this.
So in reality, if our systems worked, importers should really not have been passing on this increase that they are experiencing, should not be passing it on to the customer.
No,
because they are simply being made to pay the right rates.
Exactly.
But they are passing it on. Things are more expensive.
I mean, they've always known the exact amount that needed to be paid. And of course, we've been in this country. We know that people go to the port and these clearing agents have their way all the time. But now that there have been improvement in the systems at the port, in ensuring that people pay the right rates, that's what is accounting for this. And these importers, they know better. They've known all this. Unless they want to say, by virtue of the fact that they were clearing goods those times at those rates, which were not the right ones, and so they also price their goods at certain levels for us. And so now that they are being made to pay the right rates, they think that, okay, then you also have to pay me the right price in terms of if you have to buy the thing from me.
But let's look at the implication of this. If government succeeds in finding other ways of raising revenue, if they widen the tax net, they bring in my auntie who has never paid tax on her tabletop, shop, and they bring all of these people in. If mobile money starts to experience a little tax on there, if more people end up contributing, Will all of this not be passed on to the final consumer? Are we not... Okay, let me ask the question this way. Can there be an outcome of of revenue collection improvement, an outcome which is not price increase?
Well, very interesting, Kojo. if you look at it, so long as I am somebody who is selling, and then I need to go and buy, when we're doing buying and selling, whatever it is, the price at which I purchase this glass, I will put my markup on it, and then I'll sell it to you. So if it's given to me at the right price, which should be, let's say, 5 cedis, probably my markup will be 10% or 20%, and then I put that on it and sell it to you, the final consumer. So, I mean, if there are increases as far as the importer or the manufacturer, the retailer is concerned, it will be passed on to you. It's simple mathematics or simple economics. That's how it is. Because I need to be able to make up the margins, make some profit on those goods that I'm selling.
So we can logically infer, and of course it's only an inference, we haven't heard the minister yet.
Yes.
Can we logically infer that this mid-year review is going to be an indication of price increases?
I won't say that, because we don't know what is in it there now, depending on what he brings and where the taxes will go at. If property rates goes up, and then there's proper collection system put in place, of course, your landlord
will increase the rent.
Would say, this is how much I'm paying yearly. Now on whatever amount of money he's drawing, you know, from you who is renting that house. You understand? It's only in Ghana that I know that even homes that are over 10, 20 years, when there are increase in prices of cement and those raw materials in building, a landlord will tell you that, are you not aware that, you know, the price has gone up? Meanwhile, that house is over 20, 30 years. I mean, I'd had that experience in Kumasi when I lived at Bantama. You understand, where a landlord indicated that, are you not aware that the prices of cement have gone up? And this is a house which is clearly over 50 years. And I was wondering what new cement he's bought in putting up that building, you know.
Novan, while I have you, and while we're talking about property, help me understand something. So, we often sell property in dollars in Ghana.
Which should not be.
Yes, but we do. Now, a home in Cantonments, which last year was selling for, say, $800,000, this year is now being sold for $1 million. Meanwhile, the dollar has not depreciated. You have priced it in dollars. The thing is already built, so it's not like you're adding inputs or anything. Even if you were, the dollar hasn't changed in value. It hasn't changed in value for, what, over 5-6 decades, really, in significant value. So, what accounts for the price in dollars of either land or property going up by such leaps in Ghana from one year to the next? What is changing? What is changing economically to cause the price of that home or that land to leap forward in dollars?
Okay, so Kojo, this is very simple. It has to do with inflation and then the depreciating value of the currency itself. But this which is our cedis.
Yes.
You see, because remember, the property is here. And so whoever that has that property is looking at, okay, how much cedis would I need to get $1? You understand? So let's say somewhere last year we're talking of around 4.2. Now you're looking at coming to 4.7, and then maybe next year if it hits 5. I mean, we are sitting here, the projection is that the cedi may hit 5 by the close of the year. So you see how, you know, the fact that you need more cedis to buy just a single dollar.
But no, but wait.
And so they are telling you that if he needs, let's say, 2 billion cedis, but he probably went for a loan in dollars from a bank, probably not in Ghana, to put up the house. In order to meet that dollar that he sort of took from that bank, he will need more cedis to do that, because inflation has set in, depreciation has set in, and so your CD is not performing so much. And so that is the reason why, if he said $15,000, don't forget, his markup of margin is also there. And so all the time you're looking at the value, because if he tells you even $10,000, he will give you a rate in terms of CD that you should pay.
So I understand if the CD value goes up, but the dollar value goes up, and that's what I don't understand. Because the value of the dollar hasn't changed. So you went for a loan to build the house.
Yes.
You took maybe $50,000 to build the house. So you priced it at $100,000, knowing that you can pay your $50,000 and then make a $50,000 profit. I mean, these are unrealistic, but let's assume that's what he's doing. This is all in dollars. The value of the dollar hasn't changed. If you were changing the CD price, I would understand. But you are changing the dollar price. Next year, you say this same $100,000 house is worth $120,000. Why the extra $20,000?
Kojo, I probably was supposed to have paid this loan at the close of this year. The house wasn't sold. Interest is going up. So all those calculations come into it. So the delay in my ability to sell off that house is also affecting the interest payment that I need to do. And so if I was hoping to sell it to you at, let's say, $100,000, and I knew I'll probably have made $10,000 on it, and then I would have paid off the principal, whatever interest that I need to pay, and then it goes into the following year. If my loan term is supposed to end at the end of this year, then automatically the interest payment will go up again.
So the thing that I failed to sell last
year,
this year I'm offering it more expensive.
Exactly.
And to succeed
because and then also you have to be able to pay off those things. So all those calculations goes into, how we sell these things. You get it.
Anyway, let's get back to our budget. And of course, this year for 2018, there were several targets that we set, the country set for itself. And as we come to the mid-year review, the expectation is we are going to see an increase in revenue collection. We are ruling out an increase in VAT. So let's talk about some of the taxes that we may see an increase in. We talked about possible sin taxes.
Yes.
But let's look at the other ones. What other avenues are available to a government that wants to raise more money over the next 6 months?
Well, I told you about the health tax that they were looking at. We spoke about this property thing that they should look at. I told you that, there are suggestions to look at the DVLA, see what they can do over there as well, because a government is more comfortable with taxes that I would say fall in the area of consumer tax, which means that it's an everyday thing. Because if you set up a tax which you cannot collect, somebody will say, okay, can we look at the port again? Where are the issues? Because they always look at areas where they can easily, make their money quickly and to be able to make up for the shortfall. Because if you're introducing new ones, all the legislative things that you have to go through, and then now you have to look at how do we set up the system to ensure that these things will be opened for us to be able to get these monies. And I'm sure that they are looking at options. You saw that Abeji in speaking, and then Haruna Idris, the minority leader, keep bringing back VAT, and then talking about
question, yes.
Well, unless they decide to drop it. Either that when they drop it, then we should get ready for surprises.
But they don't actually think that it will be dropped. The minority seems to be still of the view that this review must include a VAT increase.
Because they feel that, it was something that initially, that is what they were going to go for. And remember, this particular government and this finance minister has been very tight on information. In fact, when it comes to budget, sometimes even in the morning, as we sit here today,
we would have it.
They could change anything. That's the surprise things that we've seen as far as Ken Ofori-Atta and the way he goes about his budget. Sometimes you've got information that, they're going to introduce that. He gets there and then, they've taken it out and they put something in there. So until he stands and he starts reading, you don't know what will happen. Because as of today, just as I told you, I mean, the outlook and all the figures as far as how government has performed, as far as June half year is concerned, we've not gotten the June figures because they are still playing around it, hoping that at this time, I mean, after 5 minutes after 9, probably they should be done, and by now heading towards Parliament to be able to do what they have to do. So we hope, and we are waiting to see what will come out of this. Remember that we're told that there will be some announcement as well, you know, which will bring relief to Ghanaians. Apart from they coming to tell us the stories of how families, an average family has done well with free SHS, you know, the tariffs that were taken off utilities in terms of, you know, electricity and all that. But what has been the real impact on the life after you took off these things? And mid-year, your review, would you come with a supplementary budget, or you're just coming to tell us how you've been able to raise revenues and the kind of expenditure? On the expenditure side, we know, I mean, what we are picking is that they've done well. They were supposed to spend a lot, but they've done below that, which is almost the same as last year. You will say that is prudent economics, you know, and management of, you know, our resources as a country. But I mean, going into the year, this is your second year ending. Next year is another whole politics going to start. The election will be staring at our face right after next year, going into the 2020. And so people feel that they would want to ensure that the major development projects or developmental projects that they talked about, like one district, one factory, one village, one dam, all those things that government promised, they have to be able to do it. If not even all, get it to a point where the people will begin to believe in you. Because if you're collecting so much from me and you tell me you will spend it on A, B, C, D, and I don't see the tangible infrastructure or those things in place, obviously, I'll have an issue in paying more. And these are some of the things that people have raised when this issue of, you know, introducing new taxes or probably increasing VAT came up. They said, what do you have to show after you collected so much? Show me what you've done so that when I'm paying, I would enjoy paying. And then also, one thing that many years we've not been able to do in this country when it comes to, you know, tax rebates, especially when you file your tax returns. I always say, and I blame the GRA and say that, look, they've done some kind of education, but they need to do more. Encourage us to file our tax returns and give us those, you know, refunds or the rebates that you want to give to us, because it's part of the law. So if I'm married and have a wife, and then I have 2 kids, and I'm looking after my father and an uncle, these are dependents. So at the end of the year, when I file my returns, you look at it and you enjoy it. I mean, for those of you who have lived in the UK and in the US, I mean, end of year, a lot of people are in a hurry to go back, file their returns, and get a payback.
People get thousands of pounds back, you know, from government if they are, if you know, their conditions warrant it. So yeah, people look forward to it.
But why don't we do it in Ghana here? How many of us actually file our returns anyway? And the GRA enjoys it. That's what I say all the time. I say that they enjoy the fact that they benefit from it, because then we don't get to, you know, pay anything back or do anything. I mean, the extractive industries like the mining sector, for many years, they've been crying over a refund of over 200 million that are supposed to be given to them. It's difficult. Receiving is so quick for them, but to pay is also difficult for them. And these are few incentives that when you put in place, it would not be difficult for the average Joe to pay tax, because he knows that when I pay, it doesn't matter. At the end of the year, so long as I have dependents, I will get that payback or that refund, which will make me happy.
Very important. Let's talk about debt. Yeah, I mean, how well has this government done, first of all, in raising money on the, you know, international markets and so forth, and how have we done in payments and you know, keeping up our interest payments on our existing debts? Where's our debt stock right now, and which direction is it headed?
When it comes to our debt, you realize that we did some, you know, bond issuance and all that, and we raised some funds and all that. The debt levels, you would say, quite huge, around, we have, I don't have the figures readily available. Debt to GDP ratios, but you realize that there's so much that has been, taken. But currently, if you watch the plan that they have said that, okay, what do we do to ensure that, as I indicated earlier on, we don't put pressure on the fiscals? So we want to undertake a project. What can we do? So one of the things that this government, we understand, is looking at is, okay, bauxite. We have bauxite. What do we do? So I bring in Mr. A. Come and help me mine the bauxite. I'm going to take money from Mr. B to undertake these developmental project, okay, infrastructure-wise. And so what is going to happen is you would help me mine, we'll add value to it, we will sell it, and then I will use that money, which is whatever partnership that we have agreed. If I'm taking 40% and then you're taking 60% because, I only have the mineral, you just came in, then I use that to pay off Mr. B in terms of, so it means that then you take pressure off the physicals. You don't
add to your debt stock.
So you have arranged it nicely. You've ring-fenced it. You have done a good job to ensure that you don't put pressure even on your national budget, or you don't have people coming to say, give us guarantees, sovereign guarantees, and all those kind of things that happen. And I think that it's a good thing if we do it and do it well. That is if we do it and do it well. And that helps, in taking away, we need to pay royalties, royalties as against fees and all those troubles that comes with these things. We've seen what is going on in the mining sector, the oil and gas sector, all the troubles as to declaration of all these things. If you're able to arrange that properly, that helps you, because then you are always, when you're drawing your budget, okay, we're looking at some $500 million. Okay, so that $500 million comes from Mr. B. Okay, we need to build A, B, C, D schools. So we use that. So you come, let's go get that job done. And then you extract the thing, let's add value from here, and then let's sell it, and then we still pay off. Which means that whatever that will be left, whatever amount of money that will be left after we've paid off whatever money we took from Mr. B, we are able to use that to support the budget in whichever way. And I think that's one of the best arrangements that we should have been doing a long time ago.
But this is an arrangement that was made between Dr. Bawumia and the Chinese last year, right?
Yes, that's one of them.
Yes.
With the bauxite.
But where is it? Where's the money? Why are we still waiting?
We understand that some $500 million should be in shortly, right, to help in some of the projects. And so I'm sure this mid-year we would hear of this $500 million, in which areas they will be using them in terms of some of the plans that they have, infrastructure that needs to take place, and all that.
It's still a drop in the ocean compared to the full amount that they signed an MOU on.
Yeah, but if you have the first tranche coming in, it helps to support your budget. So by the time we hit November, where they have to bring us the 2019 budget, I'm sure we will see something in there as well. And these are things that helps, to ensure that you take off the pressure from the fiscals, and then you're able to move the way you have to move.